Hello, everyone. I'm Adam Bradford, General Manager for D&D Beyond. Thank you for joining me for this week's and Beyond Development Update Community Q&A session. We're going to put the emphasis on Q&A today because I have a gigantic backlog. I think we've gotten up to I don't know, at least more than 100 questions that I haven't answered in previous weeks. And so we're going to try our best to get through as many as we possibly can today. But you can also ask questions today. And as you do that, be sure to use the question tag in chat, and that's going to pull it into the magic thing that I have over here. So let's look at the lineup. Latest updates briefly. We do have a couple of pretty cool things to call out. And then data update, pretty quick one as well today. But we released content management last week, and we'll take a look at which sources are being blacklisted the most. And then quick upcoming, and then like I said, the rest of the time, ask me anything, and we will see what I answer. All right, latest updates. So content management, again, last week this went out. This is where you can share, choose what you're sharing with content sharing in the compendium. So this is primarily to keep allow dungeon masters to keep players from being spoiled with adventure content. So that's kind of the primary use case that we're initially going after. We also released this week the Essentials bundle, so you can buy Dragon of Icespire Peak. That's available on D&D Beyond now for you to purchase and unlock. And of course, it had been previously available only through the Target exclusive Essentials Kit box and code redemption. So you can still buy the box and redeem the code. And the great thing about it is if you redeem the code, you are able to have the 3 extra adventures for free as a part of that code redemption. So again, buy the box, you get the code to unlock the adventure for free. You also get a code for 50% off the player's handbook. So we encourage you guys to pick up this Essentials kit. It really is a very solid way to introduce people to D&D, and it's a great way to get onto the D&D Beyond platform and start trying out everything that we have to offer. And then finally, we got some feedback from the community on a couple of things in the last several weeks. And as always, we take that very, very seriously. And we want you guys to understand that we do. Sidekicks were something that we were seeing some talk about in the Target exclusive period. Now that we've released this out into the wild, we've gotten far more feedback that you wanted all of the content from the cards that are in the Essential Kit also included in that Dragon of Icespire Peak purchase. That is not something that initially was there because on D&D Beyond, you're technically not buying the Essentials Kit. We don't have a box that we can put on online in a digital form, but it is just the adventure. But we have heard everyone saying that you wanted to see the content that is on those sidekick cards. And so you actually can go and see that in the sidekick section that I believe is in an appendix of the Dragon of Icespire Peak adventure now. And then also the Sage Advice Compendium has been added to D&D Beyond. So you can also access that quickly and conveniently as well. So again, here are the sidekicks. We've added those. They are in text format as opposed to any kind of image format. So in other words, these are not one-to-one translations of the cards, but we put them in text format where accessibility would be higher. So screen readers can pick this up now. So that's an important thing that we're focused on improving more and more over time. And so that is how you can access the content for the different sidekicks that are available in the Essentials Kit. And then again, the Sage Advice Compendium, we will be adding this into the mega menu at some point, but it is live now. You can go to Sage-Advice-Compendium, and you can see the Sage Advice Compendium on D&D Beyond as well. fully tool tipped. So that is a very helpful thing as well. And then finally, we do have some interesting things that we want to do with Sage Advice as far as that maybe interacts with the rest of the text that it is talking about at some point in the future. We haven't quite gotten there yet, but this is a starting point. So check this stuff out. We've got that available for you now. And then Alpha Builder, we are getting very, very close to beta. So keep an eye peeled on that. This is not an exhaustive list, but that's what we'll cover today. Let's give away a legendary bundle. This is always exciting times. So legendary bundle, we're going to give that away. In order to qualify for this totally random giveaway, you have to type in chat. It doesn't matter what you say. You can say whatever you would like to, or actually you're not saying anything. You might be. You might be saying something at your desk or, in your car driving to work or whatever. Please don't be like trying to type while you're driving. But ultimately, you have to type something in chat where we know you are a real human. And so if you're a human, please put something in chat. All right, I have definitely delayed long enough. We're going to give this away in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. John Sims Wanders. John Sims Wanders. Congratulations. You have. Oh, there he is. Yeah. So John Sims Wanders says, I'm a real boy. I saw John Sims Wonders say, I'm a real boy in the chat. So congratulations, Pinocchio. You have won a legendary bundle. Someone will award that to you either during the stream or very soon after. All right. I had to get my ambrosial nectar of the gods, my sweet tea done there. All right. So data update, most blacklisted sources. Now, this is a little bit hard to see because we get a lot of sources on here. So I apologize about that. You can, embiggen your page and zoom in to see. But Waterdeep Dragon Heist, Rrakkma, Lost Mine of Phandelver, Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage, Curse of Strahd, Storm King's Thunder, Tomb of Annihilation, Ghosts of Saltmarsh. Those are your top, 7 or 8 there. The Sunless Citadel, the Hidden Shrine of Tomoa-chan. I always say that one wrong. Somebody help me in chat with that one. Tomoa-chan. I'm not sure. Soft A's, whatever. So those are the most blacklisted sources. This is interesting. This does not align with the most popular sources or the sources that are getting the most page views historically on D&D Beyond, but perhaps these are the adventures that are being ran the most at this point in time. But as you can see, the percentages here are pretty close either way. So lots and lots of engagement. Thousands of people have already used this feature, which is great. And we've seen, tens of thousands of blacklisted sources going on. So again, tons of engagement with this feature. Very happy to see that. It's nice to know sometimes it is difficult for us to understand how much demand there actually is for something as the community is asking for it. We review this from a variety of sources and trying to find kind of that right balance between what is a vocal minority, what is not. That is always something that we're seeking to do better and better with. And so having this kind of engagement with this feature helps us to validate that, the prioritization was appropriate and that it is something that people were wanting to see and wanting to use. So that's a really great part of this. Upcoming encounter tracking, dice rolling, AL integration, book releases. These are all things that we've talked about in the last couple of weeks. really getting excited about Baldur's Gate. That is coming September, is it the 17th? I believe it's just the 17th. So that's coming soon. And then finally, the Eberron Rising from the Last War. We're really excited about that when we got the content. So we got that content in our hands actually this week. So we've started digging into that, and we're trying to figure out all the things that we need to do to support Eberron as that is coming together for its November 19th release. All right. I think that is it. It is time to go to questions. So we're going to go to questions now. And I've got almost 50 minutes for questions. So we blew through all of that, folks. We're going to see how many questions we can cover, how much ground. Okay, let's see. All right, so I'm going to start with the new ones, and then we're going to go back through some of the old ones. So let's see. Shorty Verret 94. Any more screenshots on the character sheet in the mobile app? I don't have any with me today, but yeah, they're probably online somewhere. It's all coming together. Oh, hold on. What's that? Okay. No overlay is happening. Hold on one second. The voice in my head is telling me that no overlay is happening. So can we switch? Let's make sure that we're not on my screen. There we go. All right. So let's see if we can fix this. We're going to do it live. All right. Let's see. All right. Got that going. Do you see anything now? Upside down? I don't know. Apparently, someone has messed with the magic. We may have to just do this old school. Do you have anything to show? I'm not talking with you guys at the moment. Oh, that may be because, it may be in the way I put it in here. One moment. Oh, I see what's happened. This is all just a problem with the way I put this in here. This was my fault. We're going to fix this. All right. Okay. So we're going to just dive into the questions today. And then when we get to the backlog, we're going to have to do something different. So how's that? That one should be better. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. All right. Here we go. Hold on one second. Let me fix my screen again. Make sure that none of the secrets of the multiverse are being revealed. All right, here we go. Saber Runner. Of course, this happens when we have time for questions. It's okay. We fixed it so fast. So fast. All right, I'll talk a little bit faster and talk a little bit less about one of the questions, and we'll make up for it. All right, Ferramos SA. D&D is finally coming to Brazil. Is there going to be a Portuguese option on D&D Beyond? As soon as we are able to get to foreign language translations, we should be able to onboard any type of language fairly quickly at that point in time. As we are doing this, we are going to initially be offering more or less the book version of these foreign languages. We are not going to have translations on the site itself initially. That level of localization is a massive undertaking. It's something that we would, potentially do over time. But we do want to offer the books themselves as soon as we're able to. I am hopeful that we'll start to see the first of that this year. We'll see what happens, though. Again, somebody just feels like they heard me throw out a date there, and they're going to try to hold us to it. But again, that's our target for the first of these foreign language translations, and we'll see if we're able to hit that. And then after that, we're going to have some kind of cadence that all the languages will be coming. I actually have not seen the Portuguese version of the books yet from Wizards of the Coast. So if that does exist, we'll be able to get that from them. Otherwise, we'll have to wait on that to be given to us. All right, let's see. Bullen, your favorite very low and very high level monster. Interesting. So my favorite very low, I guess it depends on what you mean by very low. I really, really like hobgoblins. And I really, really like just I guess I like goblinoids because I like normal goblins too. So goblins, hobgoblins, we'll say very low. Very high level, I am a big time sucker for the Tarask, to be honest. I have tried to use a Tarask in virtually every game that has ever gotten to level 15 or higher. I have found some very unique ways to use the Tarask in the past. And so, yeah, I'm a big fan of the Tarask. I also love some of the ridiculously high level monsters that were included in the third edition epic level handbook. So I would love to see some of those emerge in some form in fifth edition as well. Bone Graph, is there a way to filter out backgrounds and feats for sources you don't want to use? Not at this point in time, but that is something that we could add in the future. Leper Chan Chris, or Can Chris maybe. If we already own the handbook, can we use the coupon for another book? No, not for another book, but you are free to gift that 50% off player handbook code. I'm assuming you're talking about the code that is inside the essentials kit. You can gift that to a friend, and your friend or family member can pick that up on D&D Beyond. Devere P, can an option be added to the character creation that will nullify race attribute bonuses? This will allow alternative attribute bonus allocation. Very unlikely that we would do that unless Wizards of the Coast offered some type of official option like that. In the meantime, you are able to homebrew a race, remove those bonuses, and allocate those bonuses however you may choose. Vaxum, can we have UA content added to content management? I understand what you're saying now. So at this point in time, UA is not involved in the compendium at all. And so since there is no compendium content for UA, content management would not touch it at this point in time. You can remove the possibility of playtest content from a character on a character by character basis in the preferences screen. And if you're wanting something further than that, that would have to be some type of follow-up phase for content management. Tasty Pastry 13. What are the other 12? What are the other 12? What features do you want to see in D&D Beyond? Well, that is a very, very big question that would likely take up the rest of our time here today. But I will briefly say that I have talked a good bit about my excitement for the monster builder in the past. So I'm looking forward to that. I am looking forward to when we get into a virtual game space. I'm looking forward to dice. That's something that has surprised me of late that the team's been working on that I'm getting more and more excited about. I am looking forward to interactive maps where you can have like waypoints and encounters called out on adventure maps, and you can navigate between the text that you need to see very, very quickly and easily. I'm looking forward to virtually everything that is on the roadmaps for all of our teams. So really looking forward to it. To be honest, as an ultra fan of Dungeons and Dragons, it's hard not to be excited about what we have coming up. And if you are an ultra fan of Dungeons and Dragons out there, then you have plenty of reasons to be excited as well. Doctor, will there be an addition to the encounter builder so that I can put my specific characters from my campaign into the encounter and balance better? I'm thinking to be able to have NPCs that fight alongside my players to help balance out. That is definitely something that is planned to be able to pull in your specific party from your campaign. That is something that is coming. Supercron 3, could we have a folder for campaigns for made NPCs and spare player characters? That is also planned. Not exactly sure when we're going to get to it, but it's planned. And it's something that we've been talking about very, very recently. Saber Runner, are you working on blacklisting of chapters? I want to hide Waterdeep Dragon Heist, but show the Intridion. Is that how you say that word? So this is the deal when you're reading almost everything your entire life, right? Let's see, pronunciation. It's key. Enchiridion. Enchiridion. Now I know. Now many of you know. Enchiridion. All right. So we are not currently doing that, but it is something that we've seen a few requests for, and it's something that we'll keep an eye on and potentially provide in the future. Unco Kenny, what would you name your infernal war machine? Oh, that's a good question. Probably Bonnie. Not exactly sure why. That's just what came to mind. Me and old Bonnie would ride across the wilds of Avernus. I like it. Bonnie. Yeah, we'll go with Bonnie. La Casa, can I work for you guys and have a legendary bundle as payment? So are you saying that your salary could just be a legendary bundle? A legendary bundle definitely, has value. It certainly does. But if that is what you're taking as payment to be performing a job, you certainly should look into other options for your employment because there's probably better pay out there. But yeah, unfortunately, that's not something we can do. Vaxum, is it possible to have an option to change roles to check visibility of items and options? For example, switch from the DM role to the player role. I understand what you're saying, and I'm not exactly sure that we would, if we tackle this in the future, we would not tackle it in a way that you would be switching between DM and player roles. It would probably be more along the lines of switching between just, kind of edit and view or, view as player, that kind of thing. And it would just be like one-off things. So, but yeah, getting at the heart of what you're asking, that is something that we could look into in the future. No current plans to do so. Jay Fabre, will the encounter tracker have the option to automatically roll the initiative for everyone? That is definitely very, very high on the list. Initiative is one of those things that really is it just drives me crazy in most sessions, right? And so I've tried almost everything over the years. Every time I read a new article out there about, hey, I ran a game and initiative was way better using this method, I try that method out. It still is clunky. It's something that it would be hard to get rid of in the game because like it really is a meaningful mechanic, but it also is very, very difficult to run. So yes, when we start getting into encounter tracking and initiative tracking, we're going to be trying to make it as simple and convenient as it possibly can be. And the option to just automatically roll for all involved parties will be there. We should also have the option to roll for just the opposition to the player characters and allow the player characters to roll for themselves. So yes, all of those options would be available at least over time. I'm not exactly sure what would be the very first iteration that we make available. Nwafandi. with your love of chicken wings and spice, have you tried Big Shakes in Huntsville? Best flavor profiles of any of the Nashville hot chicken places. So I actually have tried Big Shakes. And I will say, so I like things to have seasoning and flavor for sure. I can't stand bland food, but I actually am not incredibly down with like the burn the entirety of the inside of your mouth and possibly never be the same. Like, I don't like that level of spice. So, huge chicken wing fan, love buffalo sauce. Every time I order buffalo sauce, it's mild because I want to taste it. And so, yeah, Big Shakes is definitely good if I can get the mildest version of that. But that other stuff that would, you know, clean grease off of an engine part or whatever, I have to pass on that. For Ramos SA, D&D is finally coming. Oh, this looks like this is a repeat. We'll go to the next one. Dark Abyss Keeper, any advice for DMing with younger kids? Yeah, I could spend a lot of time here for, some portion of our audience out there today probably this does not relate to. And so I'm going to maybe not spend the whole time on it. But I think that one of the best things that you can do and keep in mind, especially with children as you're playing Dungeons and Dragons. I've done this frequently, and my own sons, I love playing with them. I love that my 14-year-old is a dungeon master himself now, and he's actually really good. I want to play in his game. So all of that is, just fills me with immense joy. And playing with kids, the thing that I think is most important to remember is that rule of cool. That with children, I have found that they are probably more imaginative about how they solve problems than a lot of the adults that I've played with over the years. And I think that that's, potentially that we know the rules so well that we try to gamify the role playing perhaps too much sometimes. But I find with children that they really do embrace unique ways to solve the challenges that are placed in front of them. And I think that if you are dungeon mastering for them, I think that using a yes and approach to that with children is really, really important. And the thing that I have seen is that even if something doesn't fit into the nice box of the rules, if it is engaging to those children, they are going to just become hooked and become, lifelong fans of this game and this hobby that we love so much. So I think that using the yes and embracing the imagination that children are going to bring to the table, and just kind of that sense of wonder that maybe sometimes we lose a little bit as we get older and older. I think that that is an important thing as well. Ether Dark, will the Artificer come out of UA before Eberron release? I just don't know the answer to that question. I would happily answer it if I could, but I don't know. That's going to be completely up to Wizards of the Coast, and we'll keep an eye out for that. Murgon, will official artists, so this is almost the same. Yeah, I just don't have any information on that at this point in time. Myco 3ED, third edition, maybe. I don't know. When you have a Divine Soul sorcerer, their spell list seems to have double listings for spells that are on both the cleric and normal sorcerer list. Do you know if this is a bug fix being worked on? We can look into it a little bit more. And I think that we'd have to look into the rules. I don't have it in front of me at the moment. We do sometimes leave those duplications in because it's important where you prepared it from. I get the sense with the sorcerer it's probably not, so it could be an oversight. And if that's the case, it's something that we can look into. I can tell you that it's doubtful that this is a bug fix being worked on because we're probably not aware of it. So If feel free to report this on the forums if it hasn't already been reported there, and it's something that we can add to the list. The only F way, any idea when we can expect inventory management? Yeah, it's no, I don't have an idea of when we can expect it because if you are new to the Dev Update stream, thank you for joining us. I really do appreciate you taking the time to spend time with me and to listen to me talk for an hour. So one of the things that we have established very firmly in the past is that we don't reveal dates to the public because it is just a path of misery and pain and disappointment. And so therefore we do not really talk about dates or time frames until things are actually ready to come out to the public. And so when I get a question like when can we expect X feature, the answer is I can't tell you, because the honest truth is we're not working on this at the moment. We have talked about it. We have had some conceptual discussions about inventory management. It is something that I and my gut feel like we're going to tackle in 2020. But yeah, there's no way that I can talk about when the public can expect that. Being able to show that an item is in a bag of holding cart, etc. Like those are all on tap for what we would want to do with that, but we just can't do it at this point in time. Benet UK, are you going to do exclusive adventure tie-ins for the new Baldur's Gate adventure like you have for the Essentials kit? So we do not at this point in time have any visibility. This is all by Wizards of the Coast design. So essentially whatever they want to release that is officially theirs, we are going to support that. We're going to have that on the site. And at this point in time, we're not aware of anything that's coming further down the line. Kale Bludrick, any plans for the encounter builder to support any text formatting, bolding headers, etc.? Oh, I believe you are talking about within the description or the notes sections of that. That is something that we have on our list to provide rich text formatting. It is not something that we've gotten to yet, and I'm not exactly sure where that is on the prioritization, but I imagine we will see that at some point in the future, yes. Vaxum, what else does the voice in your head say? It depends on the day. It really depends on the day. Luke 0660. On the topic of adding semi-permanent buffs like rage to a character sheet, how's that going? It's not going at all yet. It's not something that we have tackled in any form. It is something that is on our backlog and on the roadmap, something that we will do at some point in time, but we have not dedicated any energy to doing it yet. Supercron 3, what is your favorite or dream dice set? How do they look? What are they made from? Oh man, I thought I might have them here, but we recently had some renovations done to the office and everything is in boxes right now. But I am a big fan of Level Up dice. I'm a huge fan of their caged dice series. And when we launched D&D Beyond, we took the team to PAX West in Seattle. Just happened last weekend, this year's. But right after we launched D&D Beyond, we took the team to Seattle for PAX West. And I guess that I had blabbered on about how much I liked the caged dice set from Level Up, but how, it was very, very difficult for me to justify their cost when, normal plastic dice will do the job. And actually the team pulled together and bought a set of the caged dice for me that are red and black, and I adore them and they're beautiful. And it's even kind of hard for me to roll them. They're so pretty. I don't want anything to happen to them. But yeah, that's probably my favorite dice set. They are metal, and they You can look up Cage Dice online. Very, very slick. Wid Sith Topos. Sorry, butchered that one, I'm sure. How are campaign management changes coming along? Looking forward to having better management of homebrew content, NPCs, and so on. It's not something that we're directly doing a lot of work with at this point in time, but it is something that we hope to tackle pretty soon, at least the homebrew portion of that. And as far as campaign management goes, we've talked about in the past that that is a very nebulous term, and people mean different things by campaign management. And so we do feel like we are going to be providing campaign management tools of various sorts in the coming year. But it kind of depends on what your definition is and whether that's going to scratch the itch that you particularly have. So, hopefully we can share more news about that as we're starting to work on those new features. But I do think that you will see campaign related management tools that are coming, within the next year. Tiny Briggs. I just had a tiny human. I think that's a baby. What creature or class should he be for his first Halloween? That is a great question, too. I think, it's a very, very classic look for a baby to, just wear the Guy Fawkes mask and just be V for Vendetta. That seems, a vengeful little tiny human is always funny. Blue Ink Alchemist. What do you find you spend the most time working on outside of your D&D Beyond responsibilities? Oh, wow. I don't know if I can truthfully answer this one without getting into trouble. No, I'm just joking. I think that I probably spend the most time on explaining things. Explaining things to people that don't have context. That's probably the biggest part of my job outside of direct D&D Beyond responsibilities. Kenjia 1902001. ETA for the character sheet on mobile. ETA disqualifies that question, unfortunately, per what I was sharing earlier. But no, we don't have an estimated time for the character sheet on mobile. We are working on it and hoping that we can get it out as quickly as possible. Il Squallow. Can we have text style formatting on the site as we do on the mobile app? Put the book style for the compendium content on the site. I actually like that a lot. It's certainly a challenge with the way that our layout and the look and feel of the site exists today. It is something that we would love to do at some point in the future in some capacity. So I imagine we will figure that out in time. TJE Cret. Do you think AL compliance will be in place by the end of the year? My gut tells me not by the end of the year, but I could be wrong there. We'll see how it goes. Solari's TV. Will we be able to add specific spells via homebrew feats? Right now, we can only do that with homebrew subclasses. I think that makes sense to do with feats, and so we'll look into that. No ETA. Wolf Hologram. Will it ever be possible to create a new weapon? Not a magic item, but a new weapon, say like a chakram. Yes, we have decided that we are going to allow for the homebrewing of base weapons at some point in the future. It is on the list. I would look for that as we have a bigger, larger homebrew pass in the future, but we'll see how that goes. Luke 0660, will the dice roller have fun colored dice? It depends on what your idea of fun is, I suppose. But I think there are going to be a great many things that will excite and delight with dice on D&D Beyond when that comes. Pull Jack, will the encounter builder support the encounter adjustment guidelines found in Adventures League Adventures? There are different encounters for party composition. very weak, weak, normal, strong, and very strong. We'll look into that a bit more. There are no current plans to do that, but we certainly can look into it. Solari's TV Nerdarchy said they will have some DDB integration with their recent Kickstarter. Will we start seeing more third-party support like this? So it's a fair question, and ultimately with Nerdarchy's integration, that integration will be a page that we will have on our website that allows them to collect all the encounters that are a part of the product that they're supplying, and for you to access those on D&D Beyond and pull those into your collection and so on. It will be something, the real key here is that will be available for free on our site. The trick comes in when someone has third-party content and they would like to sell said content. And that is the thing that we currently are not able to do. It's something that I have personally been working on for some time, and we just, have not been able to make it happen. So hopefully at some point we'll see that happen. But at this point, we do not have a clear path for that. Aranzel, I don't know. Can a DM keep players from viewing NPCs? Not at this point in time, but perhaps in the future. I think you could cover their eyes, maybe. Like, if they're sitting with you at the table, you could cover their eyes. That's a very foolproof form of content management. Dark Abyss Keeper, from feedback you've received, what's the average level of use at the table? Printed sheets, browser sheets, laptop behind the DM screen? That's an interesting question that would be very, very difficult to answer across the board because it does depend on who is playing. There are more players than Dungeon Masters, for instance, at the table. So I can say that the very first convention I went to as, part of the D&D Beyond team, after we had released, it was a fun thing to run into someone using D&D Beyond. And I can say now that if I can go to a convention or if I go to local game and comic shop where they're playing Adventures League on a Wednesday night, I see far more people using the digital character sheet than we ever did before. And just again, this is anecdotal and not hard science, but it's a third to a half of the people are using D&D Beyond in most of the settings that I'm walking into like that. And so it definitely has seen a very big spike in usage within the last couple of years. El Squalo, I'm putting up together a new Mexican podcast for D&D content. Can I have a legendary bundle to improve my quality? Is that going to improve your quality? I don't know. Like, is it going to actually do that? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what we can do. Melamber01, would it be possible to change DMs in a campaign? As an example, what happened with Heroes of the Veil with Mike starting it and Todd taking it over? Is there a way to just transfer the entire campaign? There's not at this point in time, and that is something that is on the list for things we would like to do. We just don't have that in place at this point in time. A whole bunch of X's, a Cujo in there. Oh, I see. The X's are the framing element. I get it. So it's like Cujo framed. Cujo, seriously? Man, that movie. Whew, not sure if you already answered this, but is there any new information getting added to D&D Beyond for Tyranny of Dragons? So I have previously answered this one, but happy to do so again. There are going to be some errata changes that are happening for, I believe, both of the books, and we will fully support everything that's coming out there. And then there is a new concept art appendix that will be added to Tyranny of Dragons. So all of the content that's coming out in the remastered version will be available on D&D Beyond between Hoard of the Dragon Queen and Rise of Tiamat. So buying those will get you everything that you would have gotten in the hobby store exclusive remastered version of that. Grandpappy 77, any plans for an online initiative tracker so players can see fight order in real time? Yes, that is something that is absolutely planned, and it will be available as soon as we can push that out. Murgon, concerning initiative, will it be possible to roll initiative for groups of monsters and NPC? So in the encounter builder at this point in time, you see that there is a grouping mechanism. Many people ask why that existed when we first released the encounter builder. One of the primary reasons that that exists is for those groups of monsters to be single entities when it comes to initiative. So yes, the idea would be that they would be able to be separate initiative counts and orders. FDRM Frank, what's a new D&D stereotype that drives you bonkers, maybe bunkers? I don't know. Is that a new way to say that? Bonkers. I don't know a new D&D stereotype. I'm not exactly sure. That drives me bonkers. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I have much much that drives me bonkers. I like anyone playing anything. And I think that as long as rule number 0, that everyone's having fun, is happening at the table, who am I to let something drive me bonkers? So I think that, we're all just trying to have fun with this game. And so that's what I look for. Supercron 3, Adam, what are your stats? Ha 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 ha. Obviously, I have at least a 20 in charisma. And outside of that, I haven't needed to really check the rest of my stats, because having a charisma that high, you can just kind of, glide through life. D Animal DM, a tab that holds all the things that have charges or limited supply, like key points, spell slots, magic item charges, sorcery points, bardic dice, etc. So I believe this is a question about, is something like that planned? And I can absolutely say that resource management is something we really want to tackle. It's something we've wanted to tackle since some of the early days. Even when we revamped the character sheet, that was something that we were really talking about. And unfortunately, we just haven't been able to get to it yet, but it is something we would love to get to. Matt Will Jackson, related to the inventory question, any consideration of having something like a shared inventory for the campaign that can be viewed by all players? So yes, party inventory management is something that we think is going to be amazing, and we think that it is going to be included in what we're going to try to do with inventory when we get back into that. We would even love to do things like stores that dungeon masters could set up that would allow players to interact with those stores, potentially even outside of sessions. And then, because some groups can make the shopping session an immensely enjoyable session. Some groups do not want that happening while they're together in a session. And so this would give you an option to perhaps, circumvent some of that. Amandlin, as content management is fine-tuned, is it going to include the option for the shared content owner, who is not the DM of a campaign, to limit what is shared before it gets to the DM? Issue with campaigns where I am a player in one and DM in another, but I am the primary content sharer. So ultimately, at this point in time, we have determined that the dungeon master within a campaign should be the keeper of the keys when it comes to the actual content being shared. And we do not currently have plans to change that. We will continue to monitor the feedback, but we do believe, for a variety of reasons, that the dungeon master should ultimately be the one that can make those decisions in the campaign. If, one of the reasons that we do this is a campaign is a completely voluntary place for you to be. So, for instance, if there are problems with the dungeon master controlling what content is being shared, then it is definitely a situation where we, strongly suggest that you maybe take that character elsewhere to another campaign. If there's some part of the use case that I'm missing there, though, by all means, feel free to share that on our forums. And again, we will monitor the feedback. And if there's something really compelling there that we need to, take a look at and change our minds on, we will be happy to do so. I play dead people. Did you know that Roll20 supposedly the D&D Beyond exclusive essential kit adventures for sale on their side? I actually did see this yesterday, and it did come as a surprise. And the transparent truth is here that it looks like there has been a miscommunication between all of the parties involved in this kind of distribution. It definitely happens sometimes, and mistakes have been made, and unfortunately, there's been some miscommunication. So we apologize for the fact that it has been communicated one way. Unfortunately, we were under the impression that that was going to be the case. So there was no intent to mislead anyone in the community. And the other part of that is we will say that being able to have the code redemption, uh, we do enjoy the benefit of if you're able to redeem the code, you can at least pick up those adventures for free. But yes, did see this come through yesterday. Unfortunate and came as a surprise to us. But ultimately, we do apologize for unintentionally misleading anyone in the community out there. And so, at this point in time, it is what it is, and everyone is going to be able to move forward. And they are great adventures, and I encourage everyone to pick them up. They are by three of the greatest freelance writers that are in the industry today. So I encourage you to check those out. Supercron 3, of all the dragon colors, which one do you enjoy adding to a fight? A fight. Interesting. So my absolute favorite, not necessarily to add to a fight, I love brass dragons. Brass dragons are my favorite. But I think the ones that I enjoy adding to a fight the most is probably a black dragon. And that's probably because I like water encounter. I like encounters where there is water and land. And so Black Dragon is beautiful for that. Sujo1, are there any plans for a chat client? We would have to have some way to chat as we start getting into more and more session management and as we start to get into an eventual virtual game space. Yes. Benet UK, is it possible for the campaign to give the ability for more notes, which the players can respond to? Not quite a forum, but closer to that. I do think that that's possible, and it's something that we have talked about being able to do. No idea when we can get to it, but it's something that I could see happening at some point in time. Adrian of Tyrael, are there plans to allow a DM to transfer a campaign to another? Okay, so yeah, I think I answered this one earlier. At this point in time, it's not possible. It's something that is on our list to look at. Lord Arctic Frost, any plans, dreams, or fantasies of D&D Beyond becoming a tabletop simulator? So we have shared our intentions to make an eventual virtual game space. And so if that is what you're talking about, we absolutely have plans to do that. Very excited about that direction. IO Duff, will there be an option for vehicle or mount sheets? Sheets, maybe? So we currently do have the ability to add extras on your character sheet where you can pull in mounts, you can pull in vehicles. There are some vehicles, Infernal War Machines coming, and Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus. So yes, those are all things that you can add to your sheet in the extras section. Adrian of Tyrael, are there plans to have opt-in beta testing? Our methodology for this to this point has been that we have alpha testing that is available to subscribers. So you absolutely can opt into that by subscribing. And then we treat beta as a public testing period. So that we don't have plans to change that at this point in time. Malamber01, will the dice roller show results on everyone's screen or just the one rolling? I.e., will the DM be able to see the results at some point in time in the future? Yes. Not exactly sure what iterations are going to happen first or initially, but yes, at some point in time it would be a shared space. Supercron 3, what is your favorite non-popular homebrew item or weapon? I enjoy some of the folks out there who have very creatively made sweet tea related items. I'm grateful. I have many of them in my collection and on my character sheets. Adrian of Tyrael, are there plans to integrate Adventures League treasure points and experience system? Whatever Adventures League is doing is where we would like to go in the future. And so hopefully when we start getting into dedicated AL support, we will support what is there and whatever is going to help bring more convenience to the experience for the community. Jay Fabro, would you be interested or able to build and sell DLC adventures of D&D 5e on a platform like Tabletop Simulator in the future? I would definitely buy them. Great to hear, but I'm not exactly sure that our license wouldn't extend into anything quite like that. Aaron Lore, why don't people use Avre to track initiative order? That's definitely an option. So if you use Discord to play your games, Avre has a very simple and easy way to track initiative. And I encourage you, if you are into the Discord sphere at all, Avre is a must have. You should absolutely add that to your server and use all the benefits that Avre has. We have more work and development going on with Avre, where hopefully we're going to add entitlements and everything else that come with that over time, where the unlocked content you have on D&D Beyond will be available within Discord as well for you. Bone Graph, have you given a time frame on the character sheet dice roller that Briv uses? Can you give a timeline? No, I can't give a timeline. Alejo Sill, will you be able to save presets for the encounter builder, or at least to save the current character setup if you want to make more than one? I think those are all great ideas, and we'll see how to do that. Let's see. Bear Force, we got time for a couple more. Bear Force, what setting would you love to see in a D&D movie? That's interesting. I don't know. That's a hard call. I really enjoy a variety of settings. I love Dragonlance. It was the first setting that I ever played in. And I really like Eberron. I'm a huge Eberron fan. I think that Eberron would make a very good movie because of how cinematic it's supposed to be. I think a Dark Sun movie would be really, really interesting. Yeah, it's going to be really hard for me to narrow that down to one. But I think that any of the settings could make a good movie. It is far more important that whoever eventually makes that movie, because it's got to happen sometime, whoever eventually makes that movie has to understand Dungeons and Dragons, has to understand the types of characters that are in D&D, and that's what's going to make the movie successful far more than any setting. Let's see. Gaucho Mate, does D&D Beyond have plans to add content from vendors beyond Wizards of the Coast? I'd personally love to see more materials on lore and printable maps. Yeah, at this point in time, we're not able to do that with third parties, and it looks like we are out of time. I tried my best to get through this list, and I still just scratched the surface. You folks are complete question fiends. So I don't know if I'm ever going to catch up, but I did try my best with about 49 minutes today. And I'm going to go rest my voice for just a little while. I appreciate everyone for joining me today. Thank you for the questions. I genuinely do appreciate the engagement. We have the best community that exists out there, and I really, really love all of you for it. I hope everyone has a great week. We will not have a dev update next week because I'm traveling to the West Coast and have all kinds of things going on. I'm not going to be able to have one next week, but we will resume the week after that, and I'll see you then. Later, Gators.